So if you're wondering why this is such a look, it's because I had an audition today. What's good? Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. What a better way to celebrate Valentine's Day than to celebrate myself with a Q&A. Listen, Beyonce celebrated herself for 9 minutes at the Grammys when the Academy wouldn't celebrate her with an Album of the Year award. Tragic. So if nobody's gonna appreciate me, I'm gonna be like Beyonce and appreciate my own damn self, okay? Alright, so I think I'm gonna answer the questions that you guys asked me on Twitter first. So let's just go ahead and figure this out, okay? Hashtag Q&Asia. Get it? What is one thing that you want to accomplish in this new year? One thing that I would like to accomplish in this new year is continuing to work on my craft, continuing to grow, continuing to build, to grow, to create, you know, up and up. That's my goal for the year. How is it like living in the PI for you? I lived in the Philippines for 8 years for school and it had its ups and downs. I would agree, it definitely had its ups and downs. It wasn't really a culture shock because I had already visited the Philippines like many times before I even moved there. So there wasn't really a culture shock there. It was just, I loved living in the Philippines because the culture there is so family oriented and I was always surrounded by family. Like I never felt lonely. Everyone was so loving and everyone is so happy. Like a lot of people there don't really have much, but they're like the most joyful, happy people I think I've ever seen. But yeah, that was cool. You know, there's always downsides like racism, but that also exists in this country, so okay. But yeah, I love the Philippines. I miss the Philippines so much and I would love to go back ASAP immediately. Actually, before I move on, I want to mention how it was like in the school, like in the classroom. In my English classes, my English teachers for some reason would always think that they spoke English better than I did. So I remember one time, story time, I remember one time we had like a spelling test and the teacher would verbally say specific words and we would have to, you know, like spell it out. So that was like our spelling test that we did pretty much like every day. So I remember one time the teacher said weepon and I was like, what the fuck is a weepon? What's a weepon? So I was like, okay, well, whatever that is, I'm gonna spell it. So I put W-E-E-P-O-N, weepon, because what is that? I don't know. So then when we were correcting our tests, she put the correct spelling of each word on the board. And this is the way it was really spelled. W-E-A-P-O-N. So I was like, oh, weapon. And she was like, no, it's pronounced weepon. And I was like, nope, it's definitely pronounced weapon. Never heard of a weepon before. And she like kept arguing with me. And I was like, okay, tell the native English speaker how to correctly speak English. Sure. Anyway, that was my little story time. Have you watched the New Edition story? And if so, what did you think of it? If I'm being completely honest, I don't really know any New Edition songs except for like, Candy Girl, and that's pretty much it. What advice would you give to women of color who want to be in the industry, i.e. model, actor, director, or any industry related occupation? The only piece of advice that I would give to women of color who want to be in the industry, get very used to rejection and also get very used to your abilities and talents being undermined by mediocrity. Asia, is it possible to resurrect a dead YouTube channel? How do you stay so consistent? It is absolutely possible to resurrect a dead YouTube channel because I did it myself. I started my YouTube channel technically like in 2012 or something like that. Like I just graduated high school and I posted a few videos and then I decided, no one's watching my video, so what's the point? And then I stopped for a very long time until 2015 and I was like, oh, maybe I should start this up again because I really liked creating my own content, and I loved video as like a medium. So I was like, yeah, well, let me start this again. And then I uploaded a few more videos, very inconsistent. I probably uploaded like once every 2 months. Not very consistent at all. And then I stopped again until like the beginning of last year, the beginning of 2016. And then I didn't really start uploading consistently until like May or June. You know, I just started uploading more from there. I would say to give yourself a number of videos that you want to put out a week. So about maybe in October, I told myself like, I'm gonna upload 3 videos per week, and I did it, and great things happened. So I feel like giving yourself a deadline is going to make you be more creative and kind of put out a lot more content that you probably wouldn't put out if you weren't giving yourself a deadline. Did that entire thing make any sense? How tall are you? So this is such a frequently asked question for some reason, but here it is. I am like around 5'6", 5'7"-ish. Any new music recs or still not over 24K Magic? Honestly, 24 Karat Magic was a fantastic album, but I had to take a break because I know myself. If I like overplay an album, it's gonna ruin it for me. So I have to take a break. An album that I've really been loving lately is that Childish Gambino album. I know I'm so late listening to it, but it's honestly so good. Why was it not nominated for any Grammys? Because it's honestly so good. Oh, Awaken My Love. Ugh, so good. My favorites are Redbone, Zombies, and The Night Me and Your Mama Met. Whew. Wow. Thoughts on Weightlifting Fairy Kim Bok-ju? Honestly, iconic. Watch it. Fantastic, wonderful, invigorating, sensational, great. Okay, so I think those are over, so I'm gonna stop answering questions from YouTube now. All right, here we go. These are almost all about acting. How long have you been living in LA? Is it because of your career? Yes and no. So I've actually been living in the LA area for about, oh my god, 10 years.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
So I moved here right after the 7th grade, and I've been living here ever since because my dad's job got transferred here, and I stayed in LA because of my career, but even if I wasn't acting, I'd probably stay here anyway because LA is fantastic. How did you start off your acting career? With an agent, or do you just go to auditions? And what advice would you give aspiring actors / actresses? Hashtag invasive, hashtag I need answers. Well, this is a lot of questions, so let me break it down one by one, I guess. How did you start off with your acting career? I decided that I wanted to act, so I did it. Yeah, I just did a lot of research. Like, if you're interested in acting, you gotta do all this research on your own. Like, no one's gonna tell you what to do. With an agent, or do you just go to auditions? So if you want to audition for any like network television or studio feature film, you have to have an agent. I mean, you could create relationships with casting directors yourself, but for the most part, like, you need an agent to audition for any sort of show. For the most part. What advice would you give aspiring actors or actresses? I pretty much already answered this in my last Q&A. What are your best tips on how to overcome insecurities about your body? The biggest piece of advice is just stop comparing yourself to other people, because I think that is the biggest source of insecurity for a lot of people, is when they like see people on Instagram or see people on TV and start comparing themselves to that person, but you don't know what that person does. You don't know if they have an eating disorder. You don't know if they're struggling. You don't know if they're on drugs. Like, you don't know if that's just their genetics. Like, you don't know anything about that person or their body. So just stop comparing yourself to them, because it's just toxic for no reason. What do you see yourself doing in 10 years? Within the next 10 years, I would like to have my own production company and my own skincare line. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? Wherever my career is. So since I'm an actor, I would be living in LA, but if that wasn't an option, if money was no object, I would be living literally anywhere in the world. I would just travel all the time. I wouldn't stay in one spot. The fuck? What is your absolute dream role? Oh my god, so I would love to be the next like sci-fi girl, you know what I'm saying? So right now that's like Zoe Saldana, but she was in like Avatar and like Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever, but I would love to star in like a Star Wars, Star Trek type of franchise, like sci-fi, fantasy, that sort of thing. Ugh, I would love it. Or like a Pirates of the Caribbean type of film. I would love to star in like a fantasy adventure film like that. What was the first ever acting gig that you got? So my first ever like professional paid network credit was Modern Family. Do you have any advice for wannabe actors that don't live in America? Unfortunately, I don't, because I don't know how other markets work. I only know how Hollywood works. And even then, I don't really know how Hollywood works. Any advice for castings? Just be yourself. No one wants someone that's boring or trying to emulate another personality. Casting wants to see you as you. That's why they brought you in there, so just be yourself. How do you deal with mean people? Oh, girl, my favorite question. Always stay gracious. Best revenge is your paper. Don't even worry about mean people. Just dedicate yourself to your craft or your passion or your career or whatever. Like, don't even pay attention to these people. They are a non-factor. They have no effect on your life whatsoever. But just keep doing you. Dedicate yourself to your growth and to everything that you're doing. And those people won't even matter, girl. Any advice and tips for those who want to get into acting but have no experience or ways of doing so? Research. That's how anyone does things these days. Research, research, research. What color would you dye your hair? Honestly, I would keep it black. I love dark features on people, like dark hair, dark eyes, so I don't know. I like my black hair. I wouldn't dye it any other color. Are you considering conservatory training or not? And also, are you solely focused on film, or would you ever pursue theater? Now, let me tell y'all right now that theater is just not my thing. I'm not really interested in that type of performing, just because I feel like theater is really good for people who are extroverted. I'm a major introvert. I don't really need that immediate feedback from an audience the way that extroverts do. And also, one of the biggest difference between theater and television and film is that in theater, stories are told with words, and that's why theater actors are so grand and large, and because they have to reach you know, everyone in the theater, and they really enunciate their words like this, you know what I mean? Because you're really telling the story through words. That's what theater is. Whereas in television and film, you're telling the story through visuals. So that's why there's like silent films. You can tell an entire story without saying anything. And yeah, I just like cinematography, and I just love everything that comes from on-camera acting. I just love television and film. How and where do you find these audition listings? My agent and manager. How do you find auditions? My agent and manager. What are your tips on boosting self-confidence / self-esteem? Sometimes I feel like I'm one of a kind, but sometimes I feel like a worthless and ugly potato. Everyone feels that way. I feel that way sometimes. No one is perfect, and no one feels good about themselves all the time, despite what you see on Instagram or YouTube. Like, everything that you see on social media is just a little chunk of someone's life, and sometimes it's not even real. The only person you want to compare yourself to is the old and new version of yourself. Everyone else is off limits. Would you ever consider moving out of California? Honestly, probably not. Is it important to use one line of skincare, or can I mix and match products? You can definitely mix and match products. You do not need to use one line of skincare. However, I will say one of the benefits of using one line of skincare is that they are formulated to work together with one another. So if you use different products from different lines, they might contain ingredients that like cancel each other out or could cause irritation and things like that. But if you do your research and you make sure that there's no ingredients like no conflicting ingredients, then you should be okay. How do you deal with not booking a role? First of all, there's like a million different reasons why you don't book a role, and a lot of the time they're all things that you can't even control. A lot of the time it has nothing to do with your talent, because I know a lot of talentless people that are out there booking jobs. But it could be because, and you were auditioning as the love interest, but you're like 5 inches taller than the main person that they cast. It could be because they already cast a blonde on the show and they don't need 2 blondes on the show, so you didn't get cast, they cast someone else. It could be because this person is good friends with a producer. It could be because this person has been auditioning for this casting office for a long time and they were perfect for the role. Sometimes you're just not a good fit for the character. That's totally possible. 99% of the time that you don't book a role, it's because of something you can't control. It has nothing to do with your performance, so just know that. Have you ever done dance? You mentioned the hip hop class, but I don't know if it was ever like a thing that you did. So I used to be captain of my dance team. I don't know why I said it like that. That was weird. But yeah, I used to be captain of my dance team, and I performed at the NFL Pro Bowl halftime and pregame shows in both 2008 and 2012. When I was a freshman and a senior. And also, you know, we competed and everything. When I was a sophomore, we won first place for our halftime show. And when I was a sophomore, we also performed in the Disneyland parade. So yes, I have done dance before. What soap did you get the role in? If you guys follow me on Twitter and Instagram, I will announce it there, because I can't really tell you what show it is until like literally the day before it airs, which is next week. So make sure you're following me on Twitter and Instagram. Any tips on being more confident and how to overcome awkwardness? Honestly, I became as confident as I am by just putting myself out there. Before I started modeling, before I started doing anything on camera, I was very shy. I was very like, I felt very awkward and I wasn't very confident. And honestly, confidence just comes with practice. It comes with experience. So the more confidence that you exude, so the more out there you put yourself, like the better it is gonna be, honestly. What's the best and worst thing about living in California? The best things about living in California, Southern California specifically, the weather, the people are so nice, it's very diverse. A lot of areas are very health conscious, so it's really easy to find, it's really easy to have access to healthy foods. I just love California, oh my god. The worst thing about living in California? Honestly, California is great. I can't even think of a worst thing about living in California. What? Oh, another good thing about California is that we did not collectively vote for Donald Trump. And that was the last of the questions from my Q&A. Thank you guys so much for watching and for asking me questions. Am I not the worst at giving advice? But yeah, I believe I have some giveaway winners to announce, so let's just do that now.